Our top focus this evening, and it's a clear provocation by China. An Indian map minus Arunachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. The map splashed on Chinese state broadcaster. This even as Prime Minister Modi is on a 3-day visit to China. No doubt a deliberate attack by the dragon, playing mind games with India, provoking India even while shaking hands with the Indian Prime Minister. Why else did the Chinese state television CCTV prominently display the offensive map? Why is their coverage centered around the offensive map? And could this have happened without clearance from top Chinese authorities? In our studios, we have our strategic affairs editor Gaurav Sawant, who's with us. Gaurav, this is a clear provocation by China, understanding that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the country. In spite of that, they splash a map of India minus Arunachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir.
Simi, this amplifies the boundary issue between India and China. There have been 18 rounds of boundary talks between India and China. But this is stark and this is significant. While there is a boundary dispute, China claims Arunachal Pradesh, and that's 90,000 square kilometers of Indian territory, is southern Tibet. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi joined Weibo, you had a large number of Chinese nationalists who almost attacked the Indian Prime Minister on Weibo, saying, get out of southern Tibet or we'll take it by force. But this is done on Chinese state television. Once again, all of Jammu and Kashmir not shown as part of India. So this is a part of Chinese, one, cartographic aggression, and two, a deliberate issue to unnerve India. But from what sources in the government are telling us, while they will take this up with China, but this also amplifies the fact that there is a boundary dispute between India and China. It's been there for the past 6 decades, and it needs to be sorted out as fast as possible. 18 rounds of boundary talks haven't sorted out this issue. This is one step further.
But Gaurav, this is not just about the boundary dispute between India and China, because the map also shows Jammu and Kashmir as not part of Indian territory. We're also being told that after Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Xi Jinping, they also discussed this US $46 billion investment by China in an economic corridor passing through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
That's right. $46 billion worth of aid that China is giving Pakistan, and especially in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and this economic corridor. India raised this issue. India red flagged this issue with China. And from what our sources are telling us, this is more than just pro forma raising of this issue. But at one point of time, there are strategic experts who say that while this is being developed and this kind of money is going into Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, even when the territory was illegally ceded to China by Pakistan, the agreement that took place between Zhou Enlai and General Ayub Khan, it basically said this is not detrimental to the final outcome of Jammu and Kashmir dispute between India and Pakistan. But that's history. As far as India is concerned, it's raising all these points. But as the government has been indicating all along, the effort is, while there is a boundary dispute, and while there has been a boundary dispute ever since the early 1950s, and we fought a war in 1962, the effort is to move forward on other issues, to link up on trade, on infrastructure, on economic cooperation, so that this can perhaps be consigned to history for a future generation to sort out, or perhaps settle it amicably, so that there are more confidence building measures between India and China, that it doesn't lead to a situation getting aggravated either in Arunachal Pradesh or in Jammu and Kashmir. But this is, as far as India is concerned, completely unacceptable.
Absolutely. Let's also get a word from our deputy editor Shiv Arur, who's with us live from our newsroom this evening. Shiv, back home, as far as politics is concerned, this will put pressure on the Modi government to give an appropriate response, considering that the BJP had time and again built pressure on the UPA, asking for tough talk with China.
Absolutely, Simi. The onus is definitely going to be on Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the government, to put forward an appropriate response. A very delicate situation, given that Narendra Modi, heads to Beijing in a very short while from now, and the real talks are actually going to happen tomorrow, including on the border talks itself. Like Gaurav rightly pointed out, These are typical Chinese games. Humiliate, unnerve, embarrass, queer the pitch in public, even during high-profile VVIP engagements of this kind, has been the Chinese style for a very long time now. The principal question here is not that this map is a new map. It's an old Chinese map. They've always used this kind of map. It's a question of propriety and intent. Propriety over why this map needed to be splashed across their most highly visible television station, at a time when Narendra Modi is in China, when China knows very well the extreme degree of sensitivity over the issue of Jammu and Kashmir, the border dispute, and Arunachal Pradesh, which are disputes that are bilateral, and there is a mechanism in place to actually try and sort them out. That's what this visit is all about. So this is China basically shoving that map in Narendra Modi's face. Point number 2 is intent. Just before talks, this is China basically saying, look, you're here, we're going to talk about trade, we're going to talk about the economic relationship, but as far as the border is concerned, as far as Arunachal Pradesh is concerned, we are not going to budge one single inch. This is what the map is as far as we are concerned, and we are going to put it in your face as much as you like, no matter how high profile this visit actually is. And I think there are no mistakes in such things. Like Gaurav pointed out, Simi, this is China's state television. Such decisions are taken at the highest level, and there are no mistakes in such messages.
Absolutely. And Shiv, the other point that we have to notice and focus on here is that China is provoking India on 2 levels here. First, saying that Arunachal Pradesh is part of their territory, and then recognizing Jammu and Kashmir as part of Pakistani territory. Remember when Xi Jinping had visited Pakistan earlier this year, he'd also issued a statement saying that Pakistan and China were all-weather friends.
Correct. Pakistan is that, sort of that third wheel in a relationship that should ideally be a much more robust relationship, given that India and China are really the powers in this particular region. But as you rightly pointed out, the issue of Pakistan, the fact that, Jammu and Kashmir has been sort of removed from this particular map, presumably to be a part of Pakistan, is very well known. Let's not also forget that it was Pakistan that had handed Aksai Chin, the part of Ladakh that China currently controls, to China after a war. So this is a complicated issue. This is a sensitive, extremely emotive issue. As Gaurav affirmed, this is perhaps the most pressing issue between India and China at this point of time, and something that is both politically contentious as well as, emotive at a human level for people on both sides. Remember, the 1962 war is the only war that India fought and lost. It has been a historic humiliation. This map is basically a distilled version of China rubbing what happened at that time, in India's face. It's cartographic aggression. It is, to put it very mildly, it's a diplomatic mind game. But I think the most explicit we can say about this is China sending out a clear message of what their stand is even before discussions, which would lead to the big question: are discussions more just futile, an exercise in futility than anything else?
Absolutely. Shiv and Gaurav, do stay on with us. We're getting a reaction from Randeep Surjewala as well. Let's take a look. The opposition to tightening the screws on the Modi government. Remember, the Prime Minister is in China. All eyes will be on the Prime Minister on whether or not he raises this issue with his Chinese counterpart. Gaurav and Shiv, thanks so much for taking us through the politics of this entire development and how it's being perceived in China and India. We're going to keep coming back to you for more.